Can you be slightly OCD?
Oh, that's quite good. It's a bit like the question, can you be slightly a virgin? You kind of are or you aren't. I think this question is arising because, as you've noticed, Howard, we're in my apartment. You've noticed we're in my apartment, haven't you?
Yeah. And above the amount of crosswords, yes, I have noticed.
And you've also drawn attention to the fact that it's quite clean and tidy. And I've said to you in the past that I'm a little bit OCD. And it's true, I do keep my apartment and always have kept the places I've lived in.
So you were like this when you were a little boy?
I was like this when I was a little boy, yeah.
A little bit manic, a little bit preoccupied.
You used the word manic, I've said OCD. I mean,
okay, you had a certain predilection at a young age.
I did, and I used to,
okay.
Yeah, I did. And I used to...
Running your family, was anybody else like you?
My grandmother, or my paternal grandmother was very tidy and always cleaning up. And my dad, a bit too, and he used to get particularly, there was a joke that he'd start the washing up before people had finished eating. So he'd there you were, it was the last, I mean, he'd have your plate by now for sure.
I wouldn't be around there for supper, that's for sure.
No, I mean, because, you haven't touched your food for
I'd be getting comfortable,
a good 30 seconds. Right. So...
That's interesting. It's interesting in a way, it's like a different context.
So it comes down that line, yeah.
How certain family traits might skip a generation or two.
Yeah.
You suddenly find, your child is born redhead, there's nobody for the last 80 years. Actually, if you go back in time, there were actually a succession of them. But there are certain quirks in either genetics or in terms of personality, which cause almost as though you skip a generation or two.
Is it not true? Speaking of redheads, I know this is a deviation we'll come back from.
Deviation is good.
The assumption is that all redheads are sort of Celtic in origin or something, but I think, and maybe I'm making this up, actually the origin of red hair is in Egypt or somewhere. Have you heard about that?
No, carry on talking, I'm eating.
Right. Anyway, back on the OCD thing, I think for me at least, I noticed two things. One is I can't concentrate properly unless my external environment is clean and tidy. So in other words, my internal environment is a sort of copy or simulacrum of my outer environment. So I feel messy inside if my outside is messy. So that's the first thing.
But the environment you create for yourself in your home is one thing. When you go to somebody's office, for example, or you meet in some other location and it is untidy, a bit disheveled and so forth, does that make you feel different, or is it only about controlling your own immediate environment?
It depends. I suppose messiness is not such a problem, but uncleanness, like dirtiness, is a problem. So if I'm in people's houses who don't keep them clean, and I go to the bathroom and it's, not very pleasant, then yeah, I will try and avoid going to that place.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But I think the other thing, the classic answer to this, I suppose, is that it's a sort of coping mechanism, like it's a sort of way of controlling anxiety. And I do notice I probably clean up or tidy up more when there's something that's playing on my mind, and I'll use that, cleaning as a sort of displacement activity or way of sort of feeling control. Essentially,
my ex-wife was unfortunately very ill for a long time with a chronic internal condition, which she was born with, as it happens. It's just got worse as time has gone by. And she has OCD on her own admission. And in her case, I think it's very much the fact that when you have so much disorder in your body, you want to create excessive levels of all outside to compensate.
Yeah.
So obviously you're not physically unwell in that sense, but do you feel there are areas in which you are compensating for, which actually are manifested through this very, very keen desire to be tidy and organised, and I'm looking around the kitchen and a lot of very shiny surfaces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think it's, for me, I've always been, I've always had quite a high degree of anxiety, like ever since I was a little boy, always. Okay. And even though I've been able to kind of mask that or cope with that, and people don't necessarily pick it up from me, it's always been there. My sort of resting state is always reasonably anxious. So I suppose, one could perhaps draw a connection between the two, sort of outer control of my environment sort of soothes an inner anxiety. That's quite possible.
Look, everybody's an individual. I'm not sure you can say there's only one way to demonstrate OCD.
Yeah.
I don't have OCD in that way at all.
Yeah.
but I obviously compensate in other respects.
Yeah.